Kennedy Japan has significant support in the MPP and among the broad public in Ghana. He has made allegations now. It will seem that the party is more interested in shutting down the ones speaking the truth and calling for accountability rather than the corporates.
Out of essence, we share biom. In someone Kennedy Japan, the betu Jaffa for a hospital agenda 111. Any the kika who chim say yamwa next year or drop it deadline the MPP now be making sure so the be expose your mono. In fact, case now cosra to the extent say me know I can say just last week, few days ago, me bramo update I know muchim say case they could disciplinary committee in some or more share no more dealing with the case. Then I'm so more year investigation 1-2 Dr. Arthur Kennedy ebedi nkomo, and according to Dr. Arthur Kennedy say sa act now MPP party they take, they just want to use it to silence Kennedy Japan. Senebeya agenda 111 any Afari hospital no nkomo no Kennedy embambe dibium. They say if these people are ever ready to make sure say they stand for the truth, I was some further investigation into what Kennedy Japan is saying. Out of all, me no ba be coaches munim say Kennedy Japan di nkomo no o kan ya ka say ne yire kra ya brand contract na contract no so ntua upfront bi emfa microphobia and so mama the contract no. Aha, Dr. Arthur Kennedy aba be kasa de fan na keys obi no out of one easy. Do you believe say they are MPP and they just want to use it to silence Kennedy Japan na? Without much, me pese beti nkomo ni interview also join news file so me pese beti nkomo from Dr. Arthur Kennedy, and somebody betu join the church him say that disciplinary committee are there no more they just want to use it to silence Kennedy because Kennedy betu aba bekasa.
Therefore, the resulting processes that Honorable Kennedy Japan is about to be subject to are unwarranted. I took a lot of time to listen to Ken's initial comments about the Afari Hospital, and then even his subsequent comments after he got blowback. I am at a loss to see how those things are infringements of the party's constitution. Indeed, since the loss of the election, there have been a number of bodies set up to find out the causes of our defeat. The Michael Kwe Committee nationally, there was a Chairman Sambunzu Committee in Ashanti region, and most of them have come to similar conclusions. And what Kennedy Japan said was that our position, or at least the position of the MPs on the Afari Hospital, is hypocritical, or in the most generous terms invites the charge that there's a double standard, that regardless of whatever the situation was, the MPP inherited a partially built Afari Hospital and its government had 8 years to complete it. Indeed, it's not as if the government did not prioritize healthcare. It launched Agenda 111, said that it needed to build facilities to help give our healthcare a boost. So for something that's significant, in a region that's significant to the party, not to be completed in an 8-year period, frankly, was a failure. And the Honorable was just making the point, which was obvious to most Ghanaians, and I have made the same point too. Indeed, if you look at some of the data that is out there, Kennedy Japan helpfully suggested that he was the chairman of the Parliamentary Defense Committee and that they had sought to visit the hospital when he was chairman, and the then MPP government had denied them permission to do so, which is exactly what this NDC government is doing. And Samson, you are a lawyer. There are a lot of lawyers on the panel. Truth itself is a defense. If indeed what the honorable gentleman is saying is factual, I find it hard to see how that becomes an offense. And more to the point, actually, aside from the details of this particular case, I am concerned about the broader poster of the MPP. I think that our politics has changed in a way that respectfully those who are running the party are refusing to take cognizance of. Kennedy Japan has significant support in the MPP and among the broad public in Ghana. He has made allegations now that he believes that our failure to complete Agenda 111 was partly due to corruption and that contracts were sold. One would think that for the MPP that has been the vanguard of advancing our democratic experiment, that if such allegations are made, the people who would be in the dock are those who allegedly were at the heart of the selling contracts of Agenda 111 to people for profits. This kind of accountability will put the party in very good stead. It will seem that the party is more interested in shutting down the ones speaking the truth and calling for accountability rather than the corporates. And I respectfully suggest that maybe if they ought to be disciplinary hearings, those disciplinary hearings ought not be about Kennedy Japan's comments, which are true, but about those who may have been at the heart of the corruption he's suggesting. For example, what did the former president know? What did the former minister of health know? What did other members of parliament know? Because it is worrying that we can start 111 hospitals, which is a very good idea, and be unable to actualize most of them. And in actual fact, on the bottom of his allegations, he does also say that the NDC government is also involved in similar cases of corruption, and he cites his wife, who has been approached with a contract under very similar terms from the MPP allegations that he makes. So now, are we running, in effect, a plutocratic, kleptocratic democracy?
Is it your suggestion?
A government of rich thieves?
Is it your suggestion that at this very disciplinary committee, it's an opportunity for Kennedy Japan to disclose the further and better particulars of the allegations of corruption he makes against the Agenda 111 project and the current allegations against the current government?
Absolutely. As a patriot, he has an obligation to do so. He himself has said he's a patriot. But I'm just saying that it will seem that Kennedy Japan ought to be in front of the committee, not as a corporate or the accused person, but as a witness or an interested party, because obviously on the surface of the allegations he makes, there are more significant people who ought to be facing disciplinary action, so that not just from the MPP, but from the Ghanaian government.
Right, so that when he appears to this disciplinary committee, he should disclose who it is that approached his wife with the attempt to corrupt her by asking for advance payments of, as in corrupt money, advance payment in corruption, in advancement of corruption for a particular project. And then the Agenda 111, the people who got the contracts corruptly, he should make a disclosure, names, dates, particular contracts, and so on. Is that what you suggest?
Exactly. And I'm not even stopping there. I'm saying that bodies like Shraj, who have the obligation to investigate corruption, have an obligation not to ignore what is happening within the MPP. I think that the Honorable has opened a very patriotic kind of worms. Of course, we can ask about why he waited so long to bring these things to public, but now we know about it. We should deal with it. And I think that this dealing with it should not be just within the MPP, and that they've got the wrong accused person in the dock. And Ghana should follow up on his lead. But having said that, I also want to offer some advice to the MPP. That
before the advice,
politics is about
before the
numbers.
advice,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy, before the advice, you are saying this morning that Kennedy Japan should be going to Shraj or to the police or to whichever law enforcement agency to make full complaints about the allegations of corruption he says he knows about. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. And even failing his own voluntary approach to these bodies, some of them, in effect, in the public interest, have powers to summon him for information, and others who may have knowledge of these things. So I think that the MPP, indeed, consistent with his obligation to Ghana, should be calling more people, and I should expect that Shraj and other bodies, because I am very interested in the idea that there was corruption in the past government, which we've all been talking about, and that there is corruption going on now. So in addition to Ura being Ura, now we are being told that not only is Ura itself not showing enough vim, that the very offenses for which we have been making noise about Ura may be occurring under this very government. And if you add the comments of people like Fifi Kwete and others about people making deals to, in effect, ease corrupt people out of harm's way and others, it means that the problem of corruption still exists and it is still destroying this country.
You raised a question, a legitimate question. If Kennedy Japan knew about corruption under the Agenda 111, why is he talking today? Why didn't he say anything about that earlier? Why didn't he report to the police, OSP, Iyoko, or Shraj then? Why didn't he report to the party or the president at the time?
They are legitimate questions, but of course, what do they call it? Confession is good for the soul. So it is better late than never. These issues are still live and very legitimate. And not only that, the MPP ought not to be angry at him. They should be angry at those who did this, because it was part of why we faced the defeat on the scale that we faced it. Having said that,
you said
my advice
before we
is
go to the advice, you said the MPP should be angry at those who did this. Explain that. What do you mean by those who did this?
Those who, in effect, corruptly distributed the contracts that prevented the completion of the Agenda 111 hospitals. Indeed, I can say that they have blood on their hands, because
you are taking the allegations as facts.
On the surface of it, if what do they call, a fish comes from under the water to say that when he was coming, the crocodile was dead at the bottom of the river, we should take that as, because Kennedy Japan is not a lay person just bandying charges. He was an MPP insider, a member of parliament. So I presume that if he is saying this, he must have some significant knowledge of activities that occurred. Not only that, contemporaneously, we all know that there was a lot of corruption in the MPP government. It's just that we don't have the details yet of all of them. Again, and this is a significant development.
But some will ask that this is an individual that you may want to be cautious in taking his word. You don't agree that there have been many occasions where he's doubled in stuff that are plainly untruth? Untrue. That is reasonable, but I am just saying that the MPP should be interested in chasing down the truth or otherwise of his allegations, rather than trying to shut him down, because this disciplinary procedure is a gag operation. It is meant to shut him down. And I think that as patriots and as a political party that I can attest is very interested in the development of Ghana, we ought to be interested in more than just gagging him or shutting him down. Are you unhappy and supportive of him and against the party because you suffered a similar, fate by disciplinary action of sort or pronouncement, to say that people like you, Nyaho Tamaklo, and the rest of you, sort of persona non grata in the party because of certain conduct, or that you, and if you are doing that, don't you think that you are actually working against the proper structure and procedures and laws within the party that should hold any group together, because you have rules, you have laws that are against anti-party behavior. You know, if you do things that damages the reputation of the party, you are subject to discipline. Why should he be an exception?
He shouldn't be something, but respectfully and to the people of Ghana, I think the idea that the MPP, and for that matter the NDC, parties that are subject to proper discipline, has always been fiction. We honor rules in the breach. In actual fact, going as far back in the MPP as 1998, Kakra Isamoah was trying to draw attention to improper conduct by high-ups in the party when he was drummed up out of the party, not for the good of the party, but because they thought that he was opening doors people didn't want the public to see into. Harun Esiku was on suspension when they brought him back to the chair, clearly against the rules of the party. That is not all. We have seen a lot of people do things that would be improper and be ignored, while other people, indeed, we have made non-party members running mates of the party, while genuine party members have been disqualified as parliamentary candidates. But I'm saying that, and in the NDC, people like Fifi Kwete have made significant allegations about corruption that have been ignored. And even now, as we are talking now, I'm just saying that when you look at this case, for a party interested in the interests of the public and in accountability and others, it will seem as if we are backing down the wrong tree. I think that we ought to be encouraging him. We ought to be finding out those who committed the malfeasance that caused our election and may have caused the deaths of Ghanaian citizens.
Dr. Kennedy, you said that Fifi Kwete's allegations about people trying to make, as it were, interventions and so on, for people who may have done wrong and so on. You say that it was ignored. What has been your expectation? That he to his party perhaps would have invited him as the General Secretary to give further and better particulars about names of individuals and the specific interventions that are being made to, as it were, frustrate law enforcement or corruption investigations, or that, you know, he rather should have made a complaint to constituted law enforcement to investigate?
All those are valid points, but I'm just saying that putting all these together and looking at the environment, it will seem as if our duopoly or two major political parties are not interested in accountability. Indeed, if you remember, after Baba Jamal's election, the president boldly set up a committee to look at the circumstances that led to his election. All that goes to political malfeasance and corruption in our body politic. They suddenly somersaulted and found that he did nothing wrong. Before then, three gentlemen in the MPP spent a week in which each of them spent 100 million Ghana cedis, in effect auctioning the nomination for the party. Nobody did anything. I'm just saying that the role of corruption in our body politic is undermining significantly the foundations of our democracy. And I want to suggest that the MPP ought to be helping to fight this and reaching out to the NDC to join it, so that we clean up our politics rather than victimizing those who are stepping forward courageously to make these allegations, even if belatedly.
Right. I'll come to the studio, but before that, you suggest, and the advice you say you will give, we'll take the advice later, but you suggest that if crimes are being committed and somebody is a witness to the crime, they should be doing what you say a patriotic duty, regardless of the fact that they knew about the alleged crimes and said nothing about the alleged crimes until they contested an election internally in the party. They lost and appear to be unhappy and therefore are taking stance against the party.
Yes, I do. And you know,
my question is it actually a patriotic act to make these comments and make them now without actually reporting them to constituted law enforcement bodies? And you say some of them can invite him, but for example, Shraj cannot invite him unless he has made an official complaint. If he doesn't make the complaint, whoever is being subjected to the process will throw Shraj's attempt to investigate away.
I mean, we don't live with angels. You know, all of us are flawed in a certain sense. Yes, ideally, the best time for Honorable Kennedy Japon to speak up would have been the first time he got wind of these corrupt acts in relation to Agenda 111. But he didn't. The important thing is that he's doing so now, and the statute of limitations have not run out. I'm just saying that
how do patriotic people report crime? How do patriotic people report crime?
Generally, they go to the police, but I'm also saying that where we are, I think that the MPP maybe serendipitously have put itself in a place where it will aid law enforcement, because I presume that during his disciplinary action, if he makes available to the committee information that bear on crimes, as a patriotic organization, the MPP will be duty bound to let law enforcement agencies know that they are in possession of information that there was criminal conduct by members of his erstwhile government.
Edifa Agenda 111 wadofo yentie nkomo no utumi say NDC for omaso ayehye based on nsem wa Kennedy kan na adofo mepese betie nkomo na adofo ma misumi hu wadwenkyere e wo comment.